16 hidden signs she's attracted to you that most men miss. Psychology shows that when a woman has a crush, she rarely shows it the way you'd expect. Instead, her behavior might seem confusing, or even cold. This video breaks down 16 times she was into you, and you missed it. The last sign? It's the one that psychology says triggers the most regret after she's gone. New around here? You'll get daily dating advice tailored for men. Drop a comment to join the community, and don't forget to subscribe. 1. They remember the wrong things, but with eerie accuracy. You tell a story about your ex's bad taste in music, and they don't remember which band it was, but they do remember your exact phrasing when you said, "It felt like betrayal in stereo." Attraction doesn't always latch onto the facts. It clings to the texture of what you say, your metaphors, your tone, the rhythm of your frustration. In psychology, this is a form of emotional tagging, where the brain stores emotionally charged language as a shortcut to emotional closeness. But here's the twist. They might forget your job title, your dog's name, or the city you're from, and still be deeply attracted to the way you described those things. The misread? Thinking, they're not into me, they don't remember anything. But the truth is, they remembered the parts that felt like you. That's no accident. 2. They mention someone else, just to study your reaction. This one's slippery. They say, "My friend Taylor said something similar," or "I went on a date once with someone who did that." You think they're name-dropping past flings. You pull back. You decide they're probably still into someone else. But often, this is emotional triangulation, not to manipulate, but to test the water. It's a way to bring up romantic context without being obvious. They're not announcing another option. They're watching to see if you flinch, if you care, if you subtly pull away or lean in. The goal isn't to talk about Taylor. The goal is to decode you. 3. They behave differently around other people when you're present. With their friends, they're loud, witty, maybe even slightly chaotic. But as soon as you show up, there's a shift. Not necessarily shyness, more like they're constantly adjusting their setting. Attraction disrupts performance. What you're seeing is called self-monitoring shift, when someone unconsciously recurates their identity in front of a valued observer. They're not trying to impress you with a polished version of themselves. They're trying to figure out which version of themselves is safe to be. You might misread this as inconsistency or two-faced behavior, but it's not performance, it's recalibration, and it's almost always subconscious. 4. They share their failed self-stories early, but gloss over their wins. It's easy to think people brag when they like you, but deeper attraction often does the opposite. They'll tell you about the time they got fired, or the friendship that fell apart, or how they flunked their first year of college, all in the first few conversations. Not because they want pity, but because they're signaling psychological availability. Vulnerability, even if misdirected, is often a soft launch into intimacy. The mistake? Assuming they're insecure or messy. In reality, they're skipping the PR version of themselves and showing you the unrehearsed draft. That's not weakness. That's pre-attachment. 5. They pause before complimenting you, like they're fighting it. This one's almost invisible. You say something clever. There's a moment of silence. You think they didn't catch it. Then they say, "That was actually really smart," but their tone sounds hesitant. What just happened? Their brain did a quick emotional cost-benefit analysis. Do I admit I'm impressed, or do I hold the upper hand? This is tied to ego-preserving delay, when someone is drawn to you, but unsure if revealing that attraction will shift the power dynamic. They'll compliment you reluctantly, and that hesitation is everything. It's not disinterest, it's restraint. Think of it this way. Someone who flirts too easily might be practicing, but someone who flirts like they're nervous to be caught, that's rarely fake. 6. They suddenly get formal in texts, like a customer service rep. You were joking around. Then their reply comes in, "Sounds good, hope your meeting goes well," full punctuation, capital letters, no emojis. You think, did I do something wrong? Maybe they're bored. Maybe they're checked out. But what you're actually seeing is self-sanitizing, a real phenomenon in attraction psychology, where someone becomes hyper-aware of their digital tone when they feel emotionally exposed. They pull back into politeness, because playfulness now feels risky, especially if they've just opened up or caught themselves rereading your messages a little too often. The misread? Assuming they're cooling off. In reality, they're regulating how much you matter, trying not to reveal that every casual message from you is being overanalyzed. 7. They subtly shift their values, but pretend they've always had them. Last month, they were all about solo travel. Now they say, "I've always liked the idea of having a travel partner." They used to mock people in relationships. Now they're musing about stability. What gives? This is retrospective value alignment, a psychological shift where someone unconsciously reshapes their beliefs to sync with someone they're drawn to. They don't think they're lying. They believe it. because attraction makes us re-edit our own story, sometimes in real time. The mistake? Thinking they're being fake, but it's deeper than that. They're trying to belong in your future, and the quickest way to do that is to start sharing your framework. 8. They become unusually curious about how others see you. It won't sound like a big deal, just a throwaway comment. So, do your friends usually tease you like that? Is that how your coworkers see you? Have you always been the responsible one in your family? They're not just making conversation. They're studying your social position awareness, how others define you, how you define yourself within groups, and whether your internal identity lines up with your external reputation. Why? Because attraction isn't just about liking you. It's about understanding how you operate in the wild. The mistake? Thinking they're overly analytical or nosy, but in truth, they're zooming out, mapping the terrain around you. They're not just interested in you. They're trying to understand the social ecosystem that shaped you. 9. They act like they're warning you off, but the warnings sound suspiciously like invitations. I'm probably not the best person to date. I tend to ruin good things. I'm really difficult to be close to. Sounds like rejection, right? Sounds like they're waving a red flag. But if you listen closely, these aren't true warnings. They're emotional bait. This is called preemptive disqualification, a psychological move that says, if you walk away, at least I warned you. But if you stay, I'll feel even more validated. It's not manipulation. It's usually unconscious, a defense mechanism built on previous heartbreak. The misread, believing they want you to walk away. But the fact that they're saying this to you, and not to everyone, is actually a sign of trust. And yes, attraction. 10. They end conversations too early, but linger non-verbally. This is one of the most misread behaviors of all. You're in a great flow. Then they say, well, I should probably get going. But they don't actually go. They hover. They shuffle their feet. Their body stays facing you. Their bag's still on the floor. In psychology, this is called transition hesitation, a nonverbal indicator that the person's emotional state doesn't match their decision to leave. Why do they do it? Because attraction makes endings feel heavy. Saying goodbye means returning to uncertainty. So they cut the cord verbally, but not physically. The mistake? Thinking they're bored or rushing out, but their body's telling a different story. And the story is, I'm trying to leave before this feels too real. 11. They give you advice that sounds eerily personalized, but claim it's general. You're venting about work. They suggest something oddly precise. You seem like someone who takes on more than you should. Maybe try giving yourself a fake deadline a day early. It doesn't feel like casual advice. It feels customized. Here's the thing. This is called empathic simulation, a cognitive process where someone imagines being you and begins solving problems from your vantage point, not theirs. Why does it happen? Because attraction boosts psychological mirroring. They're not just interested in your story. They're mentally trying it on. And the result is insight that feels like it came from your own subconscious. The misread? Thinking, wow, they give good advice. But you're missing the bigger signal. They're studying how your mind works. And they're already emotionally investing in your outcomes. 12. They show resistance to hypothetical scenarios, only when they involve you. You joke, if I ever moved to another city, I'd totally forget about all of you. And suddenly they get defensive. Oh wow, okay. Guess we're disposable then. They're not being sensitive. They're revealing something deeper. This is projected threat perception, when someone reacts strongly to imaginary distance because the idea of actual distance feels emotionally loaded. Even though it's hypothetical, the image of you being further away hits a nerve. It creates a flash of imagined loss. That protest? It's not just banter. It's exposure. The mistake? Laughing it off. But it's often the first glimpse into how deeply they've already pictured you as a presence in their daily life, whether they've admitted it to themselves or not. 13. They accidentally repeat your jokes or stories to others and try to pass them off. You notice them using your phrases, your inside jokes, even your exact rhythm when telling a story. Not to flatter, but almost like they forgot it came from you. This is known in psychology as source amnesia, and it's especially common when someone emotionally attaches to a phrase through the person who said it. They're not stealing your lines. They're absorbing your voice because it's already living rent-free in their head. The misread? Getting annoyed or thinking they're performative. In truth, their internal voice is starting to blend with yours. And that's not mimicry. That's neurological intimacy. 14. They mispronounce something and instantly look to you. It's subtle. They stumble over a word, laugh awkwardly, and then flick their eyes to you, just for a split second. Why? Because when someone's attracted to you, they're hyper-aware of how competent they appear, and a small verbal tripwire can trigger a subconscious need for reassurance. Psychologists call this impression repair-seeking, a nonverbal attempt to reestablish status or safety in the eyes of someone whose opinion really matters. The misread, thinking they're just awkward or anxious. But that little glance is actually a micro-confession. Did I just lose a point in your mind? That kind of internal scoreboard doesn't exist unless you matter more than they're letting on. 15. They frame you as the exception to their rules, but pretend it's no big deal. They casually mention they never date coworkers, or they usually don't open up this fast, or they're not a fan of texting, but they've been texting you for 4 hours. This is what psychologists call boundary bending, the way attraction modifies one's own behavioral rules, usually accompanied by self-denial or downplaying. It's not just about you being the exception. It's about them trying not to admit it. The misread, assuming they're inconsistent or impulsive. In reality, you've quietly disrupted their behavioral template, and their ego hasn't caught up yet. 16. They disappear for a bit, then return with something creative. Not just a hey. They come back after a quiet spell with a drawing, a playlist, a weird meme they swear made them think of you. What you're seeing is nonlinear re-entry, when someone steps back due to emotional overload, but processes their feelings through creative output before reinitiating contact. It's not a grand gesture, but it's intimate, not because of what they made, but because of why they made it. It's their subconscious way of saying, you took up space in my head, and I had to do something with it. The misread, thinking they were bored and then remembered you. In truth, you never left. Up next, discover how women touch you when they want you, or learn how she'll indicate she wants intimacy. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.